You know, we all want to be more persuasive, whether we're trying to win a case in a courtroom, in a boardroom, or heck, even just at the dinner table. But what if I told you the secret isn't about having slick techniques or some perfect script? Well, according to the legendary trial lawyer Gerry Spence, the real path to authentic power, it starts somewhere much, much deeper. And today, we're going to break down his roadmap.
This folksy little quote from Spence's uncle just gets right to the heart of it all. See, we spend so much time and energy on that $1,000 saddle. You know, the fancy PowerPoint, the clever comebacks, the perfectly worded argument. But according to Spence, we completely neglect the $10 horse. And what's the horse? It's us, our own authentic self. And that, he argues, is the real source of all persuasive power.
So, if the horse is the most important part, where do we even begin? Well, according to Gerry Spence, before you can ever hope to persuade anyone of anything, you have to go on a journey of radical self-discovery. Because every argument you ever make begins and ends with the one tool you can never, ever fake, you. And this right here is the question. According to Spence, it is the single most important question you will ever ask yourself. And this isn't just some deep philosophical exercise. Nope. This is the practical, foundational work you have to do to become a credible human being. I mean, think about it. If you're a stranger to yourself, how can you possibly expect anyone else to know you, to trust you, or to believe a single word you say?
So, how do you find the answer to that question? Well, Spence's methods are not what you'd expect. This isn't about taking some online personality test. This is about writing poetry, embracing silence, connecting with people totally different from you. It's about using art and human connection to find all those hidden parts of who you really are. He saw it as a lifelong journey, all to find your unique, your incomparable, and therefore your perfect self.
You see, according to Spence, society commits this subtle but totally devastating crime against all of us. He calls it a plague of sameness. From the time we're kids, we're taught to compare ourselves, to fit in, to basically trade our own perfect, unique self for some phony carbon copy version of what everyone else is. We become terrified of being seen as different.
And this quote from a lawyer at his trial college just nails it. It takes real courage, guts even, to shake off those expectations and start that search for your authentic self. But here's the payoff. Spence argues that a truly genuine person is inherently believable. When you find the courage to be yourself, you unlock the indomitable power of your own uniqueness. And then, in his words, you become unconquerable.
Okay, so once you start this journey of discovering yourself, you're going to bump right into something our society teaches us to suppress and hide, our feelings. But according to Gerry Spence, these aren't weaknesses at all. In fact, they're the very engine of credibility and connection. They're the magical power of feeling itself. We're all trained, right, to live in our heads, to worship the intellect. We use big words, complex logic, abstract ideas because we think that's where power is. But Spence, he just flips this whole script upside down. He says that real truth, real connection, real credibility, that doesn't live in the brain. It lives in the heart. Think about it this way. Facts and data on their own have zero meaning. They're just sterile information, data points on a page. According to Gerry Spence, it's the emotional content, the feeling behind the facts, that gives them weight and power. To move other people, you have to be moved first. It's as simple as that.
Okay, so what about a tough feeling like fear? Our instinct is to run from it, to pretend we're not afraid. Spence says no, do the opposite. Embrace it. The power of fear is that it's a signal. It's proof that you're engaged in something that actually matters to you. It's a tool that sharpens your senses. It proves you're not a robot. It proves you care.
And what about the dangerous power of anger? Spence sees it as a secondary emotion. It's almost always a mask, a cover for a deeper hurt or injury. So when you feel that flash of anger, instead of just lashing out, the key is to look underneath it. Find the pain that caused it and address that. That's how you use anger constructively instead of letting it destroy you. Okay, so you've started the journey inward. You're getting to know yourself, you're embracing your feelings. Now what? How do you take all of that internal work and use it to build a powerful connection with your audience? Well, that's the next step, and it all begins with the power of listening.
According to Gerry Spence, we need to develop what he calls a third ear. And no, he's not talking about listening better to other people, not yet anyway. He's talking about the ability to hear your own inner voice, your intuition. This is what unlocks spontaneity and creativity.
Instead of being chained to a script, you tap into this deeper wisdom that gives you the right metaphor or the perfect story right when you need it.
And just like you listen inward with that third ear, you've got to listen outward with that same kind of depth. True listening, in Spence's world, isn't about just hearing words. It's about hearing the feeling behind the words. It's about the hesitations, the things left unsaid. It's about hearing what the other person truly means, something they might not even be hearing themselves.
Now, Spence points out this crazy psychological trap we all fall into when it comes to understanding power. When we walk into a place of authority, a judge's courtroom, a CEO's office, we're immediately intimidated by the environment itself. The high ceilings, the big mahogany desk, the symbols of authority, all of it is designed to make us feel small, and we psychologically surrender our power before we've even said a word.
So how do you fight back? How do you reclaim your power? Spence's solution is a brilliant mental trick. You have to reclaim the space in your mind. You mentally redecorate the room. Imagine it's your comfortable office. You see them not as intimidating authorities, but as guests in your space, where you're the one in command. This simple mental reframing levels the playing field instantly.
All right, this is it. This is where everything we've talked about comes together. When you combine that deep sense of self, that emotional honesty, and that powerful connection with your audience, you finally unlock the most powerful tool of all, the ability to find and tell a winning story.
But here's the thing. It's not just about reciting a bunch of facts in order. Anyone can do that. The real art is discovering the deep, human story that's pulsing with feeling and truth right beneath the surface. So how in the world do you find it? And again, Spence's methods for this are, well, they're intense. This is about getting out of your head and into the heart of the experience. He uses things like psychodrama to act out key events. He makes his lawyers reverse roles to actually feel what the opposition is feeling. He insists that you have to, in some way, live the story to really understand its emotional core.
Now, this is one of Spence's most powerful and maybe surprising techniques. It's about perspective. When you're telling someone else's story, he says, you have to use the first person. Don't say, Ann Smith felt hurt. No, you say, my name is Ann Smith, and I was hurt. That creates an immediate visceral connection that a detached third-person story just can't touch.
In the end, Spence sums up this entire difficult and beautiful journey with this one image. Like a tiny buttercup fighting its way through cold, hard-packed earth, we too have to struggle. We have to push against adversity and our own internal resistance to finally reach the sun, to reach our most authentic and powerful expression.
So ultimately, it all comes down to a choice, doesn't it? Will you stay bundled up in the supposed safety of conformity, or will you find the courage to do the hard, lifelong work of becoming yourself? Because according to trial lawyer Gerry Spence, that right there is the only real path to authentic power.